Alright guys, welcome to Banana Boy Fishing. Today we're going to be fishing for California halibut on paddle boards. We're also going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to do a tackle review at the end of the video because we have the downtime and you guys have been asking the questions. So we're going to demonstrate exactly how we did all of the fishing that you're going to see here in this video. Stay tuned.
All right. Beautiful sunny day. JP and I are getting ready to tackle the local waterways here. We're gonna be looking for some flatfish, but as you guys saw, we made or tried to make bait and we succeeded. Partially. We got a few pieces. So we're gonna make a combination of live bait in addition to artificials. So we got our live bait there, just a few pieces, artificials, and then we also have fresh dead that JP vacuum sealed, brined up, ready to go. So we're gonna make do with it, what we got, what we could get, and I'm sure it'll only be, at the very least, a learning experience, but let's give it a shot. Here we go. I think we're good. As long as I don't step on any hooks or drop my bait in the water or myself. All right, so we're gonna have a short little commute. Water's very clear. I can see stingrays down there. We are at the grounds now, probably in about 10-15 feet of water. Kind of a green, murky color to it. There's a little bit of moon jelly, so some interesting conditions out here right now. The light breeze is in our face. Gonna grab a live bait. All we're gonna do is just hook that guy through the nose, and then a really gentle little cast. Don't need to go anywhere too far from me. All right, we're already at the bottom. It's a lower tide. Just like that. Just got a little take. Is that a bite? What's going on down there? No? Oh, okay. Get you back out there. Oh, there's a take. There we go. Oh, he dropped it. Damn. What you really want to try and do is hop in this wind line. No, right here. Start at the top of it and drift down so you cover ground. I feel like I just got a big tap, so I'm gonna let it eat for a sec. Yeah, that's fish.
Because I can't pull it out. I have to lock it out.
Got him.
Oh, Dylan's on.
Fish. It's gonna be a good fish too. Feel good? Yep, feels good. Felt like a halibut take. Yeah, halibut. All right. Awesome. Woo. Oh, split and run. There we go. Yeah, baby. Just coughed up that smell. Oh my god.
Oh, look at him getting towed over there.
This is so sick. I'm frothing right now. This is so cool. Oh, just one tap. That's all it was. I think it's gonna be short, but it's putting up a good fight. All right, look at this thing. Awesome. There we go. Ah, he's on, he's off. Beautiful fish. I'm just gonna make an adjustment and then we'll handle this fish. Definitely not a keeper, but an awesome fight. Boom. Hook is out. Put these in a secure spot. Keep those hemostats on you, especially when you're using small hooks. All right, so remember, keep those hands wet. This is why handling fish is so important, such an important thing to practice, is because sometimes you're trying to chase fish that you want to keep, but they're not going to be long enough. For instance, this is probably a 17, 18-inch fish. Need to be 22 to keep. A great fight, handle them well. Minimal time out of the water. Now we're gonna get a release on him. Just slide him in. Let him catch his breath for a sec. Wanna make sure that they're nice and ready to go. Feel his muscles in there. Getting ready to kick. There he goes, boom. Just like that. Awesome. First bait, first fish. That's always such a satisfying feeling. There's a sea turtle right here. There's a bunch of moon jellyfish, so the green sea turtles are probably having a great time. Boom, there he goes. How cool is that? Got so close to him. Just sunbathing out there. Sorry, buddy, didn't mean to cramp your style. I thought you'd be cool with it. But anyways, I was gonna say, interesting fact is majority of those sea turtles that most people see are females, as most of the males never spend time to go inshore or onshore, as they don't need to. So a lot of those females come inshore usually to get up on the beaches and spawn as they lay their eggs in the sand. But with the guys, they don't have a reason. They mate at sea, and they're really seldom ever seen. But a way to tell them apart is the males have really, really long, like almost like lizard tails, and the females have this little itty bitty tail off the back of them. But yeah, really interesting little thing. So odds are, because we're inshore, that was probably a female, but it wasn't on a beach, so it could be male. But just something to keep in mind. Pretty cool. All right, I just set myself up on a little drift here. Got the bait rod down there under my foot. Kind of a wild setup. Oof, and that's exactly why. But bait rod's under my foot with the bail closed. It's got a dead smelt on it, so I don't have as much faith as I would with a live bait on there. So to make the time, in my opinion, more worth fishing, I'm gonna throw this umbrella rig and kind of fan cast around, cover some water with that guy. Like a hit. Don't think I got anybody. Huh, I think I got tapped. It's a good sign. Oh, right there, right there. Oh, on the A-rig. Oh, I knew I was getting hit. Oh, that was cool. Wow. Come here. I felt a bump out there, but holy smokes. Little guy, but nonetheless, that was sick. Ate it right there at the paddleboard. Awesome. Probably a 12, 13 inch fit. Maybe 14. Barely hooked. Just gonna get him right back in while he's still hot. Look at that thing. That's awesome. All right, back he goes. Just like that. All right, so we're back on dry land here after an awesome little morning session. We spent way more time catching bait than I ideally hoped we would have. That's okay, we learned a lot. And then we got a couple fish in there as well, and they were target species, which was fantastic. We are going to do a little bit of a tackle breakdown at the end of this video. So if you want to see that, you're interested in that, stay tuned for the last 5 minutes or so of this video. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's entertaining, educational, and I hope it's all that for you.
And there you have it, guys. We had an awesome day of halibut fishing right there for you. We're just starting to figure out this whole paddleboard fishing thing here. But if you guys want to see exactly how we did it, the method to the madness, how we caught bait, how we caught fish, how we're fishing, maybe adjusting a little bit on these paddle boards as opposed to just fishing from the beach, check out what comes next, and we're going to do a little bit of a tackle review here. All right, so there are three primary things going on in this video. First, we started with the bait making, right? So when we talk about making bait, we're talking about catching our own bait, not pulling up to a bait barge, buying bait, or buying bait from a tackle store. If we had that luxury, you better believe we'd take them up on it. But in our case, we can't buy bait. It's too early in the morning. We need fin bait. No tackle stores in the area have that, so we got to make our own. And this is how we did it. So if you haven't seen these before, these are called sabikis. They're usually really popular, especially in like introductory shore-based saltwater fishing. A lot of times you'll see people use them on piers or jetties or even the beach trying to catch bait or smaller fish, right? Each one of these little flashers here emulates like a little prey item. So it might be a bait fish, shrimp, what have you. And you can even tip them with bread, pieces of shrimp, or other kinds of bait, right? But use these guys to catch small fish, which you can eventually use to catch larger fish. Anyways, here I have a size 8 sabiki, and then in the video we used a size 6. However, we spent way too much time trying to catch the bait because of their tiny little mouths on those top smelt. So what I'd recommend is if you're fishing for smelt to use as halibut bait, probably use something a little smaller, like a size 10 or 12 or even 14 if you can find it. As for the rod we use to fish our sabiki with, it's actually just JP's ultralight rod that we use on the surf there. So it's just a Berkeley lightning rod. It's like a 4 to 6 pound rod. You can use a rod as light or heavy as you want. We just happen to have this lying around. There's our size 6 sabiki attached on there. And at the end they have these nice little snap swivels. So that snap swivel there, what it allows you to do is stick a little weight on the end of the sabiki. And the reason you want that weight there, you might be thinking, oh, it's got enough weight, you could fish it weightless. The reason you want that weight is because it holds the line taut like this, right? So straight up and down. If you have these small fish bite in big numbers, you run the risk of them all kind of swimming into each other and tangling up your sabiki. So to avoid that, you have a heavier weight than you think you'll need. For instance, on this little sabiki fishing in 5 feet of water, we use a 2-ounce torpedo weight. But just using one of those weights is more than enough to make sure that those hooks don't get tangled up when we do catch a fish, or even multiple fish at one time. So that's our sabiki setup there. All right, so now moving on to our game fish here. So in this video, we were targeting halibut. Awesome fish, great fighting. They can get quite large, especially in inshore areas, which is always fun because it's easily accessible and a great fight. And they can be great eating as well. When you are halibut fishing, keep in mind there are regulations. In addition to having a fishing license to do all the things that we're talking about here, you gotta make sure that your halibut is 22 inches or above. You really don't wanna walk that line too much because it runs the risk of you getting a huge fine, and it's also just not ethical, so make sure that you're following those regulations. Be absolutely certain that we're meeting that minimum. We carry an expandable tape measure with us. You wanna keep it somewhere accessible, like your pocket, a tackle box, or in your backpack, in a quickly, easily accessible pocket. Another thing is, people talk about, I see it in the comment sections, like, why is fish handling so important? If you don't want to harm the fish, just release the fish. Well, a lot of times we are targeting fish that we do in fact want to keep and ideally eat. However, with these minimum size limits, we got to make sure that we're playing by the rules, right? And being ethical and smart about it. So we have to release the ones that are too small. So you have to keep your hands wet, you have to handle them properly, and then you want to keep some kind of long, skinny needle nose pliers with you. In my case, I use these hemostats here. These are made by Izerline, but they're simple, long, effective, kind of get down in the mouth in case you have a halibut take the bait too deep down, or even some other kind of bycatch that you don't want. You're not going to keep them. You want to make sure you remove that hook well and then get it released back in the water. Okay, so moving on to the tackle aspect of things as far as this halibut fishing goes. What I have here is a medium light bait casting rod by Cousins Tackle. This is their 733. Unfortunately, Cousins, although it's an awesome American locally made brand, are no longer in business. If you can find yourself this rod though, it's worked fantastic for me for a lot of applications inshore. But essentially what you're looking at here is a 7 foot 3 inch, so 7 to 7.5 foot rod. We have an old Shimano Chronarch on there, really old school reel, but it's in good shape. It works well for me. 10 to 12 pound test was great for what we were doing today. Had I hooked a larger halibut, it might be more questionable, but it was awesome for fishing these small baits and light line. And then as we move down to our terminal tackle, moving down our main line here. So I'm holding in this hand my main line. We get to that 3-way swivel there. So what's a 3-way swivel? Well, it's got 3 points of attachment for our lines there. The reason that's important is because one goes to our main line. Doesn't matter which one, there's only 3 points. One of them is going to have, and I use my main line, I just clip a little 12-inch piece off there, make a 10-inch leader out of it for our weight. So in this case, we were using a 1-ounce torpedo weight, drags nicely along the sandy and algae-ridden bottom there. But just that little bit of gap between your swivel and your weight allows the live bait to stay suspended in the water column. And then our actual leader on the last point on our 3-way swivel is going to be 15-pound test fluorocarbon. Now we don't use the same line, we actually use heavier line than we do on our main line and on our weight, as this line goes through the most friction. What do I mean by that? You may hook a halibut, it may run into the pylons, it may run around some mussel beds, and they also have really sharp teeth. So all this abrasion calls for a more abrasion resistant line. So what we have here is 15-pound fluorocarbon. With fluorocarbon being more abrasion resistant and a little bit upper in the gauge, we have the 15 instead of the 10 or 12 pound. It's perfect for that leader, right? We actually leave ourselves a pretty long leader so that way the weight and swivel don't spook the fish. So we have here about a 2.5 foot, 3 foot, 15-pound test fluorocarbon leader, all the way down to a size 4, and yes, I said size 4, really small little J hook, mosquito hook by Owner. So that's size 4, size 6 if you were fishing even smaller baits. Why do I use such a small hook, you might ask? Well, because we're fishing small baits. We use really small, like 3-inch baits today. The hook size is not based on the fish you are fishing for, more the bait you are using. And then for the leader line that we use today, we're not just using our typical generic brands, we're actually using our pals over at Florida Tackle Supply, so FTS, Florida Tackle Supply. Great company, and they make some bomb fluorocarbon, Japanese manufactured fluorocarbon leader. Pretty affordable stuff as well. Shipping is super cheap and it was actually very fast. It got to me within 3 days. So super impressed on the product. It's soft, but not too soft, still very abrasion resistant, and it's heavy, but not too heavy to where it drags the bait fish. It's got a very thin diameter. So big fan of this, but Florida Tackle Supply, great fluorocarbon. Use it for all your leader needs. Fantastic product. I'll leave a link down below that you can click on and access this product or something similar if you're interested. And then there's one more item on the list of things that caught fish while we were out fishing for halibut. It's this Alabama rig, also called a chandelier rig, an umbrella rig, for reasons fairly obvious. We have this wonderful little wire contraption here, custom made. This one is made by Recon Baits. Yum also makes them. They're very popular for tournament fishing largemouth bass. But I saw this popularized by Hog Squad Fishing these guys for halibut locally. And at first I was kind of a skeptic. I was like, why would you fish a largemouth bass setup? So goofy with all this wire and stuff. Our saltwater fish are gonna be lion shy and all of that. But after I watched the videos where he fishes them and then I actually fished it myself, you can start to see why it's so effective. These halibut, they sit on the bottom. They're super bottom oriented. Seldom do they waste their time coming away from the bottom because it's dangerous. It takes more energy. So they rather play it safe on the floor. Well, think about this. Chasing one little 3-inch bait might be kind of a risk for these halibut if they have to leave the bottom. But if they see a whole school of bait, and not only are there 5, count them, 5 swim baits on here, but you also have 4 spoons halfway up each one of those arms. Potentially what looks like 9 individual baits. But what these guys do is they up that attracting power. And it's a term that's popularized in fishing for largemouth bass with glide baits, these really large glide baits. What we're doing here is something similar. It's worth the fish's time. It's a larger profile underwater, a larger presence. So you don't have to fish it on the bottom as you traditionally do with other halibut things. You actually fish it halfway through the water column. So we hit the water. If we're fishing 6-7 feet, we count 1, 2, close the bail, straight wind it, slow roll it. Do not let it touch the bottom. You don't want to lose this. They're kind of pricey. This one is by Recon Baits, so it's locally made. It cost me almost 20 bucks. But it's a great product and a great deal. I have these just generic white swim baits. I got these at Aloha Tackle in Huntington Beach, California. And then just some generic lead heads right here. I believe these are actually owner darter heads. Pretty much just like that. You have to rig each one of these up individually. You clip them onto the little snap swivels here. And then you want to fish your 2 heavier ones. So for instance, I have 2 1/4 ounces on the bottom, and the rest of mine are 1/8 ounce. So those 2 are always towards the bottom. It's constantly that way. It's not spinning throughout the water column, right? It's remaining constant, like a steady school of fish swimming through. And it actually encouraged not 1, but 3 strikes from halibut in a 1-minute period, which you guys saw at the end of the video. But anyways, I hope you guys appreciated what you see in here. We got a lot of requests to see, like, what are you guys doing exactly? How are you doing it more than just us fishing? So that was our little tackle breakdown. If you enjoyed that and want to see more, let me know in the comment section. Drop a like. Subscribe and all that stuff, but otherwise have a wonderful time wherever you're at. Keep fishing and stay cool.